I'm going to preview the 2 seed UCLA versus the 3 seed Gonzaga in the Sweet 16, which will take place on Thursday at 8:45 p.m. Central Time on CBS. So, obviously, I'm going to start with UCLA, and I know they have a season-ending injury on their radar right now. So, just an FYI. So, I'm not going to mention that player by any means. If they can't play, I know not to mention. And that player is I apologize on this. Jalen Clark. And they do also have like a guy that's probable with an ankle. And that player is it's Singleton is his last name. Once I know. And now I'm going to go over some players to keep an eye on in this game who are going to play the most minutes. And this is very, very intriguing because this is a rematch from the regular season. Regular season here. So, first one is Jamie Jacquez. From UCLA is Jamie Jacquez Jr. And I'm going to mention the percentages as well as the points and all that stuff, including fouls. 17.5 points per game, 31.7% from 3, 76.3% from free throws, 8.1 rebounds per game, 2.3 assists per game, 0.6 blocks per game, 1.5 steals per game, 1.8 turnovers per game, 1.8 fouls per game. The next guy I'm going to mention is Tiger Campbell, which we all know that name because he went to that Final Four with the same UCLA team a few years ago, unexpectedly as a play-in team. 13.4 points per game, 34.2% from 3, 86% from the free throw line, 2.6 rebounds per game, 4.9 assists per game, 1.2 steals per game, 1.6 turnovers per game, 1.2 fouls per game. Jalen Clark is out for the year. So, Amari Bailey is the next guy at 10.9 points per game, 3.8 rebounds per game, 36.5% from 3, but that's on 52 attempts. So, just granted, 69.5% from the free throw line, 3.8 rebounds per game, 2.2 assists per game, 1.1 steals per game, 2.4 turns per game, 1.7 fouls per game. Okay, Singleton, I'm going to go right ahead. David Singleton, I'm going to go right ahead and mention him because I don't know if he's going to play or not. 9.1 points per game, to 42.5% from 3, 84.3% from the free throw line, 2.8 rebounds per game, 1 steals per game, 1.4 fouls per game. That's the notable. Adem Bona is the next guy I'm going to mention on this list of players to watch. Is he 7.7 points per game, 57.3% from the from free throws, 5.3 rebounds per game, 0.6 steals per game, 1.7 blocks per game, 3.3 fouls per game, 1.3 turnovers per game. Dylan Andrews is another player to keep an eye on. 3.3 points per game. I know that's not a lot. 30% from 3, but that's on 40 attempts, though. About 2/3 in percentage, like 66.7 from the free throw line. 1 foul per game. That's the only notable on that. I don't know if Abramo Kanka is going to even play. He's only playing 22 games, and I'm not sure if he even played last game. So, yeah, he only played in that 215 matchup. But I might as well. 1.5 points per game. Only 5 for 10 on threes. 4 for 4 on free throws. That's it. But I don't expect him to play. Let's be clear. Kenneth Nwamba or something like that. NWUBA. 1.3 points per game. 63.6% from the free throw line. 0.6 blocks per game. 1.8 fouls per game. That's... And I'm going to mention one other player after this. Mac Etienne. 1.3 points per game. 5 for 14 on free throws, which is 35.7%. 2 rebounds per game. 1.3 fouls per game. That's only notable right there to me. And Will McClendon is the last one. 1.1 points per game. 2 for 26 on threes. 7.7 points per game. 60% from the free throw line on 10 attempts. Keep that in mind. 1 foul per game. So that's most of the players you're going to have to keep an eye on for UCLA. Now, on the Gonzaga side of things, I don't believe they have any injuries. And they've been healthy for the most part. And I realized they did lose the St. Mary's and Loyola Marymount. This year, but Loyola Marymount's an okay team, and St. Mary's is a good team. So I'm not gonna. And they play a somewhat tough schedule too in the non-conference. No injuries. So this is as of right now. So what are some players to keep an eye on? Drew Timme, of course. Of course. If you would know. So 21.1 points per game, 7.3 rebounds per game, 3.2 assists per game. He was 3 for 23 on threes, but don't expect him to shoot. He's 13%. 63.7%. That's one area that is an Achilles heel for him. Somewhat. 1 block per game. 0.7 steals per game. 2.2 fouls per game. 2.5 turnovers per game. Julian Strawther is the next guy to keep an eye on. 15.3 points per game. 6.1 rebounds per game. 42.3% from the 3-point line. 77.8% from the free throw line. 0.9 steals per game. 1.5 turnovers per game. 2.2 fouls per game. So that Anton Watson is the next guy to keep an eye on. 11.3 points per game, 6.1 rebounds per game, 2.4 assists per game, 0.7 blocks per game, 1.9 turnovers per game. Steals per game, 1.2 turnovers per game, 2.9 fouls per game, and 32.6% from 3 on 46 attempts, and 57.4% on free throws. Rasir Bolton is the next guy to keep an eye on. That you should keep an eye on. 10.5 points per game, 2.6 assists per game. 39.2% from 3, 78.8% from the free throw line. 2.6 assists per game, 1.9 steals per game, 1.1 turns per game, 1.9 fouls per game. Malachi Smith is the next guy, and he averages 8.5 points per game, 3.6 rebounds per game, 50.6% from 3, 81% from the free throw line, 0.9 steals per game, 0.8 turns per game, 1 foul per game. Nolan Hickman is the next guy I'm going to mention. 8.2 points per game, 2.5 rebounds per game, 3.1 assists per game, 36.8% from the free throw line, 81.3%. 1 steal per game, 1.3 turns per game, 1.7 fouls per game. Ben Gregg, 5.3 points per game, 3 rebounds per game. 39% from 3 on 59 attempts, so he can shoot the ball. 76.9% from the free throw line. 3 rebounds per game, 0.7 blocks per game, 1.6 turns per game, 1.9 fouls per game. And the last player I'm going to mention is because he's played in most of the games. I might just mention one other guy, maybe. And after this one, Hunter Salas, 4.4 points per game, 2.1 rebounds per game, 26.8% from 3-point line on 41 attempts, 78.9% from the free throw line, 0.7 steals per game, 0.7 turns per game, 2 fouls per game. And I'm going to go right ahead and mention this only because he's only played in 24 games. That's the next closest guy. And that's Efton Reed III. 2.2 points per game. 0 for 3 on threes. 7 for 13 on free throws, which is 53.8% from, by the way, 0.6 turns per game, 1.1 fouls per game. Well, obviously, for both teams, you got to limit your foul trouble. You got to make your free throws count. You got to take care of the ball. You got to rebound so you can get some second chance points while eliminating those, of course, on defense. And you got to limit/get for both teams points in transition, points off turnovers, second chance points. Of course, you want to make the other team uncomfortable and make it very, very difficult. It's the truth. You gotta make adjustments on the fly. And of course, you want to limit your free throw attempts for the other team as well. And I know this is one of those games that's a pick 'em. UCLA is only their favorite right now by 2 points. But I know UCLA isn't exactly 100%. I know they're not. As you all know, with that season-ending injury. Wait a minute. UCLA didn't play them this year. They played them in a few years ago in that Final Four. So I apologize if I was wrong on that, if you all noticed by now. So, that's just some keys to the game as well as some players to keep an eye on. If you like this content, hit like and subscribe button and see you guys later. 5 subscribers, we're on the road to it. Let's go.